Welcome to Goldfish on Games, where today we're going to be talking about a slightly underappreciated area of game collecting and gaming in general. I am of course talking about the game bundle. The game bundle or collection has been around since the earliest days of gaming, and one of the more popular styles was the budget re-release, in which you get a number of older games that were typically not being sold anymore and put them together. Quite often it'd be done by the budget label or even by the original publishers themselves, so you ended up with some really odd compilations that had games that had very little in common with each other. A few companies were quite good at doing that, with BU Jolly being one of the masters. Not entirely sure what Shuttle has to do with Dune or Lure of the Tempest, but there it is. And when the number of games gets too high, well, the idea of theming just goes out the window. But there were a few nice targeted collections around a core idea, like the Space Legends. It had Wing Commander, Elite, and Mega Traveller, in what really is a hefty box. And if we get inside it, we find a bag with a bunch of discs, and a single thick manual that covers all the games, as you really needed the manual for some of these titles, so it wasn't something they could always cheap out on, though quite often they would try. Like the Delphine collection, which has some absolute classic games inside of it, no doubt about it, but they didn't attempt to remove any of the copy protection. So instead they just badly photocopied the copy protection and put them in this booklet, which made starting some of the games a little tricky. They also condensed all the manuals into this single basic booklet as well, and gone are some of the extras that would have come with the game, like that wonderful map for Cruise for a Corpse, which makes what should have been a celebration of some absolutely amazing games feel a little bit cheap. There was also a phase of putting a number of these smaller games on a single CD, as they could fit quite a few and have more than enough space to include digital copies of the manuals as well. These boxes were pretty much empty. Thankfully, quite often you'd see the off-disc copy protection removed from these games, as it means there'll be less to print, though at times it was replaced with a CD check instead. And you might end up with some very basic menu to select which game you wanted to install or just play straight from the CD. But being cheap wasn't always the case. The Sim collection had the first few Sim games in this huge box, so you can tell you're going to get all the discs and manuals with this one. And just look at all the stuff in here, it's absolutely full. Or there was the ID Anthology box, which I actually got back in the day, though to many a collector's horror, chunks of it were wrecked due to a leaking cupboard. But it had this massive box with this special CD wallet with all the games, a poster, a t-shirt, a phone card, a Cyber Demons, and even the Doom comic. It was a real celebration of everything ID had done up to that point. It wasn't just computers that were getting in on this action, as there were a number of cart releases that had multiple games, and quite often you get these with the hardware itself, like the Mega Games packs that came with the Mega Drive, and that brought together an increasing number of early Mega Drive hits into a single cartridge, so you had a decent number of games from the very start. Or there's those carts that came with the light guns, which we've seen a few times on the channel. But Sega also sold in the shops the Classic Collection and the Sonic Collection, again collecting a number of their bigger but older titles together. And Nintendo did similar things with bundling Duck Hunt and Mario together on a single cart. They also put out this cart that had Mario, Tetris, and World Cup on it. But the more famous example is them putting out the Mario Collection in the All Stars, which was later expanded by also putting Super Mario World on it, which resulted in the All Stars and World Cart, which amazingly actually got a few extras, with Luigi finally getting his own sprite rather than being a palette swap, which shows just because this is a bundled game doesn't mean it's going to be a lesser version. And we can't forget all those bootleg multi-carts for the Famicom, as there was hundreds of these things with differing amounts of games. And sometimes you'd actually get some improvements like bug fixes, removal of copy protection so it was easier to run, or even having the game updated so it would run on newer hardware. Like the Wing Commander Kilrathi Saga box, which had the first 3 Wing Commander games all updated to run under Windows, which I've actually done a whole dedicated video on in the past. But it is a great collection that really does celebrate everything that was Wing Commander. And while this practice didn't completely go away, it did shrink quite a bit due to the digital stores, because by and large the games were always there ready for you to buy. But you did still get some nice collections, like the Command & Conquer First Decade pack, that came in a slightly more fancy box that contained a standard DVD case inside, but it did also provide the games, a poster, and a DVD full of videos. And then we have the Unreal collection, which has Unreal, Unreal 2, Unreal Tournament 99, and Unreal Tournament 2004. For some reason they didn't feel the need to include Unreal Tournament 2003. There was also collections of older and less resource intensive games packaged into these large packs. And at the same time we started to see the rise of sites like Humble Bundle that collected a bunch of games together that you could buy in one go. And in a way it brought back that idea of getting a load of classic games and then a number of other games you might not have tried otherwise. Though we have continued to see over the years some of the older franchises continue with their collections. Sega have done multiple Sonic collections over the years for a number of different platforms, as well as compilations of some of their other games. And let's not forget the Mega Drive collections that have been released on just about every single platform and generation since the Mega Drive. And Microsoft even brought together a bunch of their Xbox Live games together for a physical release. But in recent years we've also seen the Mega Man Legends, the Castlevania Collected Works, remastered versions of Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, and the new 3D All-Stars collection for Mario. And while these collections are the only way you can get your hands on these remastered games, that wasn't the case for the older bundles, as the games were originally released on their own. And something that I've noticed is the collections tend to go for a lot less than the original releases. Take Monkey Island for example, here's 1 and 2 bundled together, and here it is on its own. The difference in price is absolutely amazing. The collected version is actually pretty good, because it actually uses the far less common CD-ROM version of Monkey Island 1, that removed some of the unneeded verbs from the menu and added CD music. So getting these collections can be significantly cheaper than getting the original release. So if all you really care about is enjoying the game, this can be a much cheaper way of getting them and playing them. Though this isn't always the case, as some of the more limited special edition collections tend to get quite pricey as well. And just recently we've got products like the Evercade, that so far has only gotten carts with multiple games on them. And it mixes up these collections by having some by the publisher, the developer, or just bringing some great games together. I enjoy getting bundles like these as they tend to be quite cheap and you get a bunch of games that you knew would be great and a few that would be interesting to check out. And I'd love to hear if any of you lot had a favourite bundle. Unsurprisingly, this was mine. So until next time, I was the Goldfish, that was a lot of games in a small amount of space, and this was Goldfish on Games. Thank you for watching my video, I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can let me know down in the comments, or you can use those buttons just below. You know the ones I mean. Or if you're not sure yet, then you can check out 2 other videos that I've done that are on the screen right now. So thank you again, and I hope to see you soon.